It is the last Red Friday of the season, Chiefs Kingdom, as it will cap off probably the longest anticipation. It felt like it's been the longest week, but we will now preview the Super Bowl as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Philadelphia Eagles. But before we do get into all of that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and give me a big thumbs up and like this video, as I will keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chiefs related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. The biggest game of the year, the Super Bowl, is finally around the corner as we have a couple nights to go as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Philadelphia Eagles. But nothing will change here as we do this game preview. We will go through the injury report. We will talk about the Kansas City Chiefs offense taking on this Philadelphia defense, and then we'll talk about this Kansas City Chiefs defense taking on this Philadelphia offense. And then, of course, we have to focus on the special teams because any point matters in a huge, crucial game like this. So with that, let's dive right into this injury report, and it's all positive signs coming out of the Kansas City Chiefs locker room, which is today is Friday, and everybody is as healthy as can be. They have no injury designations. That means everybody is good to go that is on the active roster. This is huge, huge news because coming off of an AFC Championship game where everybody was dropping like flies, and to have some will actually all your players be out there and to perform at some capacity. That means you will have Kadarius Toney. That means you will have Juju, Justin Watson, L'Jarius Sneed. Them boys will be out there ready to play. And CEH, he was activated. Jody Fortson was activated last week too. Again, I don't know if they're 100% how healthy they are, but they will play in some sort of fashion, so that it is huge coming off and coming into the biggest game of the year. And it goes the same for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, and this is a terrible time to draw a blank. Their tackle, the guy who injured his elbow, I think he was the only one questionable on their injury report, but it looks like all signs are pointing to he will play too. So it looks like you got two number one seeds going into this fully healthy as can be, at their best of their capability. This is what everybody wants to see, is a heavyweight bout for the Super Bowl. It's something we rarely get to see, where you have the best team all year in the Philadelphia Eagles and the best team all year in the Kansas City Chiefs actually meet up at this point. So it's going to be a very fun and exciting game, and I just can't wait to tune in. Now it's that time where we focus on the Kansas City Chiefs offense taking on this Philadelphia Eagles defense, and this Philadelphia I keep trying to combine Eagles and defense, but this Philadelphia Eagles defense, they pose tons and tons of threats. Whether it be the D-line or whether it be the secondary, they are a tough unit. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to focus on the trenches, because at the end of the day, the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs lost their last Super Bowl they were in against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is because they did not give Patrick Mahomes time. And this is a kind of group that is just as, if not better, getting to the quarterback. They've had the most sacks this year, over 70. Kansas City was second at 55. But you see that big gap there? They still had 15 more sacks than the Kansas City Chiefs. They know how to get after the boy early and often, and you definitely need to keep Patrick Mahomes on his feet, because Patrick Mahomes, he says he's close to 100%, but the last thing you want is for him to get injured in this game, and then it would look exactly like a repeat of the Buccaneers. Now, I'm not saying score-wise, but what I'm saying is that year, Patrick Mahomes was coming into that Super Bowl injured and not really any good protection coming in, and they came after him. The Philadelphia Eagles can do the same thing. But here's where we will point out some differences. But one difference that may be good, well, may not be good, or may be good, it's time to see how much he can step up, is Andrew Wiley. Yes, we said his name a lot throughout the whole year, but we said his name a lot in the Super Bowl too against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because it was dreadful. But he was playing a different position at the left tackle position. But this is no small task either, because it looks like he will be assigned the task to go against Hassan Reddick. And yes, if you didn't watch him last week or throughout the whole year, you are missing a guy who is relentless and gets to the quarterback early and often. Andrew Wiley needs to be on his P's and Q's and have his best day of his career. And he needs, if anyone I wanted to have watched the Super Bowl from the past and be like, I can't do this again, it was Andrew Wiley. So he knows that I'm still going up against a bunch of dudes that have to go after the quarterback, and I'm not going to let that happen. But with that, too, every one of these Kansas City Chiefs O-linemen has a huge, difficult task. Every single one of them. It's ridiculous. Like Trey Smith, I think he's going to be guarded up against Hargrave. Creed Humphrey is going to be Fletcher Cox. Joe Tooney, Brandon Graham, and then I am drawing a blank on who Orlando Brown is going against. Ooh, I know I was going to say he has 11 sacks on the year. They all have 11 sacks on the year. But these boys, and that's crazy to hear too. Almost everyone on the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line has double-digit sacks. That is absurd. That is crazy. That's why the Kansas City Chiefs O-line needs to present dominance over this. And this is going to be the area where this game is won. Because if they can't give Mahomes at least a few seconds to make a play, and he's struggling out there, it can be a repeat. But at the end of the day, here's where I expect Mahomes and the offense to execute. At least what I hope. And you guys have heard me say it all year and preach on it all year. But if it needs to happen in any game, it needs to be this one. And you focus on the run game. You focus on throwing to your running backs. Because if there's one thing the Philadelphia Eagles defense struggles against, and it's against running, not too bad. They do almost allow 5 yards of carry, which is very, very nice to see when you got guys like Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, and CEH coming back. But they also struggle with running backs catching out of the backfield and giving up those extra yards too. That sounds like a Jerick McKinnon kind of day. And what better day to have? If anyone deserves a ring on this team, it's Jerick McKinnon. And we haven't seen him he's been bottled up through this postseason, and we haven't really seen him have a breakout game through this postseason. And Andy Reid mentioned there's going to be a guy out there who has been quiet for, well, he said a little while, but this is a little while during the playoff drought too. A lot of people were thinking maybe Sky Moore, maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming back, Jody Fortson. But it can be Jerick McKinnon too if they focus him in the game plan and you start throwing the ball to him. We saw in December, he was averaging like 6 to 8 catches a game, and he was shredding defenses. If they find a way to get Jerick McKinnon the ball in the receiving game, and I find the perfect 1-2 punch, and you just jam Isaiah Pacheco up the middle and have them wear down this Eagles defense to where now the Eagles got to bring their pressure, lay it off, and basically kind of play more relaxed and guard the run. That gives Mahomes much more times to try to execute and find his weapons, because in the receiving game is going to be no joke either. The Eagles defense, guarding tight ends, they're ranked in the top 5. Guarding receivers, they're ranked in the top 5 too. Again, that doesn't concern me too much of what it is, because a lot of people make do with, oh, the Eagles had a very easy schedule. I'm not going to slight the Eagles like that. But also, I'm not going to give them too much higher praises. They haven't played anyone like Patrick Mahomes either. And I feel like we go through this, not week in and week out, but when Patrick Mahomes plays a number 1 defense or a number 1 defense in any category, he seems to always find his way to execute and make sure, hey, I'm better than any number 1 that is out there. And also, too, if anyone has a chip on their shoulder, it's Patrick Mahomes. You cannot tell me the Super Bowl in the past weighs heavy on his heart, on his shoulders. He's even mentioned it because someone asked him in a press conference that you've been in one and won one, and you've been in one and lost one. Which one weighs more heavier on you? And he says you're always going to focus on the one you lost because you always want to go back. You don't like the feeling after leaving the game. And I guarantee he's going to do everything in his mind to make sure they don't leave as a loser in this game. And also, something big to point out in this too is like people are focusing on that the Kansas City Chiefs, they are basically in the Super Bowl every other year. With that too, the last time the Kansas City Chiefs won a Super Bowl, only 12 players were on that active roster. A bright side with that too is you got key leaders like Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, your true leaders, your voice in the locker room to let these guys know how big this moment is and to don't take it for granted, and they will have them right. So just because the Kansas City Chiefs feel like they've been here ever so often, there are a lot of new guys experiencing this experience. So I don't want to say you could see some butterflies and things like that, but this is all new. You best believe they'll take it by the moment, but they got the right leaders in every position to make sure and find a way to win this game. But it will not be easy because this Eagles defense is a tough, tough bunch, and the Kansas City Chiefs need to make sure they're executing on all cylinders if they want to come away with a W and a ring and that Lombardi. It's really funny. The narrative that we've been hearing throughout the whole postseason, but now even through Super Bowl week, is this young, inexperienced defense that the Kansas City Chiefs have, because now they're just throwing all rookies out there. And it's like, are we really watching the tape at this point? Because these rookies, they're not rookies no more. I'm not going to say they're seasoned vets either, but they are ballers and they are doing their things. And I've seen crazy things that Jalen Hurts can go out and ball out against this defense of rookies. I think you're underselling what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing, and I think Spags has clicked it finally. Like I mentioned throughout the whole year, if there was ever a perfect time for this defense to start gelling, it's now. And they have been playing magnificent ball with the likes of Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and yeah, that young core secondary, but they are playing out of their minds. Start with Trent McDuffie. Well, actually, you start with L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie, going to Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams, and then even the boys on the safety position and Justin Reed and Juan Thornhill. You can see they have taken their game to the next level. But this is a huge task as well. But last week showed these guys are willing to duke it out with the best of them, because they were not going to face a receiving core like the Cincinnati Bengals with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and I almost said Michael Boyd, Tyler Boyd. And I still think I got it wrong, but you guys know what I mean. Yeah, one of the best tandem trio wide receivers you have, and Joe Mixon, they bottled up as well. The key thing with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm not disrespecting A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert whatsoever, but if you make the Eagles throw in this game, this is a game the Kansas City Chiefs will love. You cannot let the Philadelphia Eagles control this game on the ground, because that's what they want to do, and that's what they do best. In Kansas City, they have been known to stopping the run very well, but the Eagles do it in such a different fashion, as the whole NFL world knows. They're one of the best, if not best, teams on the RPO. They will run Jalen Hurts. They will run Miles Sanders. They will run Kenneth Gainwell. They will run anybody they need to, because that's how their offense moves effectively. If you can get like 3 consistent drives where you show we are more physical than you, and you will have to find another way to move the football because running it won't work, that forces the Eagles' card. Not saying they can't throw the ball, because they can. Like I mentioned, they got weapons in A.J. Brown, in Devontae Smith, in Dallas Goedert, in the speedster Quez Watkins. But the Kansas City Chiefs would love to bank on that young secondary that everyone calls out rookies. They are well deserved of their praise, and if they got to prove it on the highest stage, they will. Also, we give high praise to this Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. I think the Kansas City Chiefs defensive line, led by Joel Coleman, needs to be praised as well, because Chris Jones is on a monster year that I feel has been very underappreciated as well. You got the rookie in George Karlaftis, Carlos Dunlap, Frank Clark. Them boys have been eaten, and Spags knows when to blitz, and he does it frequently. And the thing is, if they stop the run, Jalen Hurts, one thing he struggles with is throwing under pressure. May be surprising. He is good at running and getting away under pressure, but when you force him to throw the ball under the pressure, that's when the Eagles kind of crumble. I'm not going to say they dwindle and it's Kansas City's game and they will win the Super Bowl, but you got to look for any little ins and outs. And if Kansas City can cause pressure to where it doesn't end up being positive for Jalen Hurts, because that's another thing that I focus on with these guys like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all these mobile guys. It's one thing to get after them and cause pressures, but if you let them run around and scramble and then they find a hole and run, it doesn't do you much. You got to get back there. You got to get them down, or you got to take every possible target away from them. This Kansas City Chiefs defense has so many hard tasks to go after against this game. There's a reason why this Philadelphia Eagles team is the #1 team throughout the year. This defense is going to have huge tasks, but I feel like they can man up and stand up very well. And I think with L'Jarius Sneed being healthy is a huge key, because I mentioned it in my prior video as well. I don't know if he's going to be your spy, but he's going to be your Swiss Army knife. He's going to be all over the field. He's going to be throwing coverages that hopefully confuse Hurts and the offense to where, hey, let's dissect, let's have fun. If anyone's going to be your spy in this game on Jalen Hurts, this is why you got Willie Gay, for him to shine bright right here against mobile quarterbacks. You let Nick Bolton handle basically the field, stop the run, and do what he needs to do. But once Jalen Hurts starts to scramble, Willie Gay, you need to be all over it and pounce on your prey. And something tells me this Kansas City Chiefs defense is going to step up to the occasion. They have done it against the Jaguars, against the Bengals, and now their biggest task against the Philadelphia Eagles on the brightest lights too. A lot of people have been counting them out, but they've been proving we're not rookies no more. Special teams, special teams, special teams. They have actually been a huge bright spot come this postseason. And who would have thought it? I wouldn't have, I can tell you that, because all year it seems like it's been good, bad, 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 and we just they will never flip the switch. Again, just like the defense, they flip the switch at the perfect time. Harrison Butker, he looks like he is finally in a groove. I need you to stay in this groove, because it can come down to 1 point. It can come down to a field goal. Like I mentioned against the Cincinnati Bengals, every point matters. You cannot leave points on the field, and last thing you would ever want to happen is have special teams decide the game. At the end of the day, you don't want to hear none of these guys be mentioned unless Harrison Butker makes a game-winning kick, or a guy like Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney has hell of a punt return or kickoff return. Sky Moore, I don't know if he will be out there fielding punts now. We will see. I'm going to let you know I'm not 100% confident in it, because even hearing on Sky Moore's press conference during this week, he wasn't even 100% confident in himself after the few muffs and fumbles, but he saw it, and he even said, I told Coach Reed, I'm just going to let it bounce. But he said this was actually a nice low kick that he felt he could field and take it upfield, and he did. It helps with his growth. It helps with his maturity in this game. So it's going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see what Dave Toub calls. Do you put Kadarius Toney out there, or do you put Sky Moore out there? Because also with this offense, a lot of people are speculating that Kadarius Toney might have his biggest impact in this game, where Andy Reid just unleashes this offense for him. If that's the case, is he fielding punts still? It's going to be so interesting to see how the Kansas City Chiefs approach this game. But I know one thing. I don't want special teams to stress me out. But with that, Chiefs Kingdom, before I sign off, I do have an announcement, and I did post it on the channel, that I will be posting my very first live stream on the Super Bowl. It's going to be very interesting to see how it goes, because I am nervous about it, but it should be fun. You guys will get my live reaction. I saw a lot of you guys really did like my reaction to the AFC Championship game, so I thought, hey, why not? Let's have fun. We'll be talking, I'll be answering questions, and you guys will basically be seeing me go crazy with that. If you do not want to miss out on it, it is already posted. Click that notify me button so you don't miss out on it. As well, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you did like this video, please give me that big thumbs up. I'm checking out. Y'all take care.